I can't tell you how much I'm delighted to introduce Steve Beckow. I have followed Steve Beckow for quite a long time, more than 15 years. And I just want to acquaint people with his incredible work. If you go to his website, The Golden Age of Gaia, there is an absolute smorgasbord feast of incredible scholarship. He writes on enlightenment, spirituality, life on the spirit planes, global gender persecution, automation, the truth about 9/11, the dangers of depleted uranium, disclosure, the Ascension scenario, channeled messages. It is an unbelievable amount of work. He's also put on his website, ready for free download, 123 books, 23 books that he wrote, 23 booklets, and numerous articles, as well as he's got 14 extensive databases. He's written about Silver Birch. He's written new maps of heaven. Those of you who are interested in the afterlife, and that's all of us, get in and have a look at new maps of heaven. But the work is incredible, and he's very keen on making it available to the world. Steve, I can't thank you so much for coming on. I know how busy you are, and I know that you're always working, so thank you for giving us this time.
Thank you, Wendy. And boy, this is a completion for me as well, because we used to be in contact, as you said, 15 years ago.
That's right.
Here we are.
And here we are.
Right.
A little grayer, a little wiser.
That's right. Well, what I wanted to do is to use the 30 minutes to go over 4 or 5 experiences that I've had that have kind of shaped me, that have either changed my direction or in one way or another opened a door.
Beautiful.
Does that work?
Perfect. Perfect. Okay? We're all interested in that trajectory.
All right. Well, it starts out with an out-of-body experience, so here we go. In 1977, I had completed a 3-month resident fellowship at a growth center called Cold Mountain Institute. And I had gone to India after that and seen Sai Baba. And on that trip to India, I caught hepatitis. So when I came home, I was bedridden for a month. And in one of those nights, I awoke I had a lucid dream. I awoke in the dream. And I was on the other side. And I was watching a friend of mine get treated with hostility by 2 other people. And I was screaming out, "Leave my friend alone," and they couldn't hear me, right? And I was crying. And as everybody knows, if you're crying on the other side, or you can't take it, you have to come down a level, right? And when you're outside the body, the level, of course, is to go back to the body. So I'm crying and I'm hurtling through space, going backwards, don't know where I'm going. And suddenly I find myself in this India rubber tube, and I'm kind of saying, well, what is this? And it dawns on me, this is my body, right? And as soon as that dawns on a person outside their body, the very next thought is, I am not my body, right? And the very next thought, well, it's not a thought, but the very next thing that happens after that is your fear of death just disappears. Just gone, just like that, as if it never was there, right? And I used to compare it to living on a ground floor apartment facing the back, and there's a lawn of tall grass there, and I come out at night and suddenly something starts moving. And I'm afraid, this is going to be a raccoon who's going to bite me or scratch me, and I'm going to die, right? And so I'm all afraid, and this thing comes towards me, and then it leaves the tall grass, and it's Kitty, right? And just as my fear left me when I saw it was Kitty, so your fear leaves you when you see that you're not your body. There's nothing to fear. I'm alive now, not in my body. Therefore, I must be alive after death. of the body. There is no death. So that experience was probably the opening of the modern day experiences that I have had, because I was having experiences before that. But that was the first experience which altered my view of reality a great deal. And because of it, partly because of it, I'm both studying the afterlife, but I'm also studying the soul, the spiritual side of things. What just happened? What was that all about? And by 1987, I'm just lost. I can't figure it out. What's going on? You just can't figure it out. What the heck is this all about? And by this time, it's 1987. I'm in my third PhD program, having got nowhere with academia because it's bound by empirical materialism. Only what we can see, hear, and taste is real. And I wasn't attracted to that. So I kept writing outside the bounds of the discipline and them saying, no, nope, nope, nope. And so I'm in my third PhD program, and it's in sociology. And I've been training to be a counselor and a group leader. And what I found in my voluntary counseling that I was doing just for practice was that people, if I followed my therapeutic instinct, which was to provide answers, people would, when I provide an answer, they'd look at me as if I was nuts, wait a few seconds, and then continue with their story. And I'm thinking, do you know how long it took me to come up with that answer? You just knocked it out of the court. And after a while, it began to dawn on me what they really want is listening. They want to be heard. They want to put everything on the table so they can get a look at what it is they're dealing with, right? And so I began to listen and listen and listen, and people would have an aha. Oh, God, now I see what I'm dealing with. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, now it's all clear to me. And as soon as they had their aha, they wanted to go home and tell their husband or their wife or kids or whatever. Out the door. That was it. And so I'm driving my car on my way to work because I'm both studying and working. And the thought hits me, gee, you know what? If people's early lives are a puzzle, and then when they look at it enough or whatever, they suddenly get a picture, could it be that life itself is a puzzle? And if so, what is the picture that life is? That's what I asked the universe, right? I'm driving my car, and suddenly everything goes black. And I forget about my car. I'm not aware of driving my car anymore. And I'm staring at this tableau, so to speak, movie, whatever you want to call it. It's all moving. I don't guess that it's alive, but somebody's showing me something. And first of all, I see this big golden sun, and I'm deeply in bliss. And so I can just look at this and I know what it is instinctively, so to speak. And so I knew that was God the Father, right? Or what we call God the Father. Not the one, the Black Knight was the one, but the first step down, in the beginning was the one and stepped down to two. The one became two. So this was the God the Father, the two, God the Father, God the Mother. And from this golden sun, a little golden star shot off into space, shot out and into space. And I discovered I had the ability to say, well, what was that and where did it go? And I was there, right? And so it went into this cloud. And I instinctively knew that was God the Mother, Shakti, Kali, the voice in the silence, the noise of many waters, royal glory and Zarathustrianism. She's in all religions. He is passive, she is active. They're both one, of course. And I'm seeing all these coils in this cloud. and I instinctively know their lifetimes in matter. And I see the golden star, but he's not a star anymore. He's just a little circle. And he's going down through these coils of lifetimes in matter. And then suddenly his light flashes back on. And he leaves the cloud. And he goes back to the Father and merges. And I said, well, that's a second stage of enlightenment. And I just looked at it all. It was like, whoa, what is this? And I heard, but I didn't hear, because even if I'm thinking to myself, I don't hear it, even though it is in a voice, in words. I heard the purpose of life. Does anybody want to take a stab at that? The purpose of life is, yes, definitely love. The purpose of life, this is what I heard. The purpose of life is enlightenment. God is everything, right? God is everything. So God is one. So if you were everything, how would you know you? You're everything. You don't, there is no mirror. There's no camera. The way you'd know you that God chose was to make illusory fragments of him, herself, himself, itself, and send them out into the world to learn who they were. And then they would come back having learned who they were, and who they were is God, right? So we learn we are God. So at that moment of learning that, God meets God, right? Bayezid Bistuen said, "O thou I." So that is the way that God meets God. For that meeting was all of this created, everything that you see, everything you don't see. And it applies to every sentient being. All right. That's what I learned from this vision, from this experience. So I now knew what the purpose of life was. I now knew that, there's a progression to enlightenment, and I could find out about it. I now knew the difference between the mother and the father. There's so much that I learned from that vision. I'm still, unrolling it. Fast forward now to 2010. I'm now editor of the 2012 scenario and writing on enlightenment. I've written a book, The Purpose of Life is Enlightenment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one night I have another lucid dream, and I see a woman over there. And the minute I saw her and she saw me, we just went like this and ran together and embraced, and I woke up. And I say, who was that? What was that all about? And my friend Len Satov was having readings with a medium. And I said, I got to talk to her. I got to find out what that was all about. And so I went to Linda Dillon, and I said to her, this happened, and now I need to speak to this person. And I had a reading with my twin flame, which was absolutely magnificent. She really did a good job. She gave me everything I needed to know in a nutshell. And I said, I gotta do this again, made another appointment. And this time, Linda said, "Oh, Steve, you're going to enjoy this. There's somebody here who wants to speak to you." And it was Archangel Michael. And that began 10 years of readings with Archangel Michael and the Divine Mother, and also 10 years of a radio program, An Hour with an Angel. And there was a second radio program, Heavenly Blessings, and again, more interviews with the Divine Mother, Archangel Michael, Saint Germain, the Pantheon, so to speak. And that was simply amazing. My life changed altogether at that point. And after that, the spiritual experiences started to get much deeper, but there's another facet of them that became apparent, which I'll refer to in a sec, because it's very, we don't hear about this from classical Enlightenment scholars. We've got to rewrite the way we see things. In 2015, I had a heart opening. I won't go into detail on it because I'm probably getting close to the end now. a heart opening, fourth chakra experience. The Kundalini reaches the fourth chakra, explosion, and I'm in a tsunami of love. And when I say love, I don't mean love like anything we've ever experienced in our normal lives. It is a world beyond. It is an experience beyond anything that 99% of us have had in this lifetime. And the other 1%, a bunch of them may have had it just very briefly, but not, enough to really get what an incredible gift it is. It satisfies everything. The love that you experience once the heart opens satisfies all your desires. You have no more desires. No matter what you've been going after, this is what you wanted. And once you see that, it's like everything then becomes clear. Okay, I got it. And love, that love. Oh, gee, there's so much to talk about. God implanted in us a longing for liberation. God implanted in us a longing to go home that keeps us moving lifetime after lifetime towards the divine, right? So this love is what draws us home. We love, God loves, and the bond draws us home. Now so the heart opening, I initially started out in a tsunami of love, which swept away all my cares, all my concerns, all my hopes, all my dreams, everything. And before too long, I ended up in a sea, an ocean of love, still a point of awareness in this ocean of love, right? Not, I didn't disappear. I'm still a point of consciousness. But again, these things are, they await us. Our ascension is going to have us be in the seventh dimension, which is the dimension of Christ consciousness, as you know. I can't remember what plane we call it, Buddhic, causal, I can't remember. Yeah. I want to deal with one last experience. Sight of the Self at Xenia. A reader bought me a week's vacation at Xenia Retreat Center on a nearby island, Bowen Island in Vancouver. And the last night of the retreat, I turned on the TV, which I probably shouldn't have, and tuned into this to David Zublock's Dark Outpost. And as I said, I just went through the floor. And the next morning, I said, I'm going to meditate, to see if I can lick this one. And I meditated going down 100 floors into the heart. And then when I was in the heart, I flew through the corridors of the heart till there was no more to go. So I'm in the deepest part of the self, right? The heart. I'm in the bottom of the heart, from the bottom of my heart, right? And there was the self. There was this light sitting on a ledge. It wasn't brighter than 1,000 million suns, as the Divine Mother later said, 1,000,000 billion suns, you mean. It wasn't that bright. It was luminous. But in its presence, I felt innocent and pure. And feeling that way was such an affirmation that I'm not born in sin. There's nothing sinful about me in my essence. I don't need anybody to redeem me in my essence. I'm innocent and pure. But so afterwards, I said to the Divine Mother, what are you doing? What just happened? And I said, that should have been a lot brighter than it was. And she said, oh yes, brighter than 1,000,000 billion suns. But we toned it down. And I said, well, why? Did you want me to stay in sync with my readers? And she said, yes. But she said also, we don't want you, I can't remember the exact words, I'm paraphrasing. We don't want you to go off to the Himalayas and finish the job, because you won't want to finish your contract, your soul contract. So now, the important thing to notice about that, And I'm speaking to the Divine Mother, right? She's the head honcho. The important thing to notice is that they work with us around our enlightenment experiences, because that was an enlightenment experience, fourth chakra enlightenment. The other one was also an enlightenment experience, the heart opening. They work with us on timing, on depth of experience. Now, classical enlightenment sages don't talk about that. They either talk like Ramana Maharshi or Bernadette Roberts, saying, we do our utmost, our very best, and beyond that, we can't do a thing. There's no effort that can reach the divine. Past that, the divine closes the distance. So that's been the model, right, that we drop, and the divine then comes and picks us up. But no, it's much more elaborate than that. They do work with us in terms of our experience. Anything more? Let me just check. So the precipitate of all this, what comes out of all this. I've gotten to speak to the Divine Mother. I'm in awe. I'm in awe. I mean, how many people in the 15th century ever had a glimpse of the Divine Mother, and yet this generation talks to her through mediums? You know, I mean, if we really got that there are maybe 20 to 100, depending on whether we're talking about the English-speaking world or the world at large, and it's probably much larger than that, mediums who are talking to the Divine Mother. I mean, we're getting it from here and from there. So I am thunderstruck when I think of our good fortune. I talked to Jesus in an hour with an angel, and he confirmed, and I'm citing this to show you the exciting things we're finding out. He confirmed that when he said, I am the truth, the way, and the life, he was not speaking of Jesus. He was speaking of the soul, of the I am, of the self, right? Well, we fought wars over people saying, no, it's Jesus. It's the personal savior. You know, you have to worship Jesus. No, you don't. He never said that. He never meant that. So I've been able to ask some really important questions of people who can answer them, and I'm thrilled about that. I'm incredibly grateful for the 10 years with Michael. I've run some matters past them that are the basis of a cross-cultural spirituality, which now will probably become interdimensional. So I've been able to confirm the bedrock of what I'll be saying about cross-cultural spirituality, and that is an opportunity that, I mean, it's beyond valuing, so to speak. My mission, I'm a communicator. After the reval, I'll be a humanitarian philanthropist. I'll also be a pipeline. I'm receiving sequestered wealth, off-planet gold, other things, and then upon their instructions, reintroducing it into the economy. And then after that, I'll be a galactic liaison, so talking to the galactics at the UN, which will be reformed, and communicating to the rest what they're saying. That's it. Thank you for listening.